Here we are on Skool.com, and more specifically, we're in the community THP Jump training. And as you can see from an outsider's perspective, someone who hasn't joined THP, the community yet, you'll see that from the outside, you have a description of what the community entails. And this is very important because this basically signals to outsiders who perhaps are interested in joining this particular community what this community actually does for them. And so if you read this, it says, this course will give you all the resources needed to get your first dunk and beyond. And additionally, on the About page, you also have a description over here, which basically says that this is a community for athletes that want to jump higher. And what I mean by leaving no stones unturned in your community's description is not that you should have this massive piece of information with multiple paragraphs specifying all of the details of your community. If you look at THP Jump Training, the community builder in question, I believe his name is Isaiah, does an amazing job of just having these one-sentence descriptions that pretty much sum up the purpose of his community perfectly. So this is a dunk training community, as it were, and he very much specifies that in his description. So any people who are looking to join from the outside looking in will have no confusion whatsoever regarding the purpose of this community. So if you look here again, community for athletes that want to jump higher, there's nothing to be confused about in terms of what this community's purpose is. Now that you've seen what a simple and to the point online community's description looks like, let's look at why it's important to have one of these. One of the biggest reasons for committing to a description of this kind is that you don't want to leave any gaps in the understanding of what your community is, especially with regards to its purpose. Members who are confused will begin to invent their own explanations regarding your community's mission or purpose in an effort to bring order to their confusion. If members of a community all have different and sometimes competing visions for what the community is, then you don't have much of a community at all, since nobody is united by a common aim. This is the most important reason why you should have a very simple and to the point description that leaves no stones unturned. And again, that doesn't mean that it's the most detailed thing out there, but it has to shed light on what your community's purpose is, because if you don't do that, the worst thing that can possibly happen is that members invent their own ideas of what your community is and what it does for them. And what this creates is it creates false expectations. Your community members will have false expectations as to what your community does for them. If it doesn't match their false expectations, then they will be disappointed. And if they're disappointed and not enjoying your community, then they're not having a fulfilled community experience. And if they're not being fulfilled by your community, then they have no reason to engage with it, to participate in it, and they have no reason to be there at all. And so they might just churn, which is not what you want as a community builder. And just to note, this doesn't mean that you should have a massive description outlining all the specific details of your community. A simple and to the point message of what your community is and what it does for its members will suffice. And as an example, we saw this in THP Jump Training, the online community about dunking. They had a very simple and to the point online community description. And with that, thanks for watching today's lesson.